Thanks for joining the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Ozubaku. Today on the program, Babangida, Governor Bello condemned call for hate speech bill as protests rock National Assembly over proposed law. Federal government admits border closure is the cause of rising inflation in Nigeria, but insists borders will remain closed. And later on the show, Lagos State to start the paying minimum wage from November. I'll be hanging out with Babajide, Kolade-Otitoju, Mobolade, Omonijo. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for joining us once again. The intense criticism trailing the hate speech bill under consideration at the National Assembly is reverberating over the hills of Niger State. In the face of a protest against the bill in Abuja, former military president, retired General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, IBB, has declared that there was no basis for the bill, while warning that nobody should attempt to muzzle Nigerians from expressing themselves. While hosting journalists at his hilltop mansion in Minna, IBB wondered why the bill was resurrected after it was killed in the 8th National Assembly. The state governor, Abubakar Sani Bello, has promised to reach out to lawmakers to drop the bill. It is curious to note that the sponsor of the bill, Senator Aliyu Shabi Abdullahi, and that of the social media regulation bill, Senator Sani Musa, are both from Niger State. Babajide, what is it with Niger State and this bill? The social media, is this just a coincidence? The hate speech bill and the social media bill coming from these two senators from Niger State, and former President Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida wading in now. I think this thing is getting quite uncomfortable.
Yes, because until the implementation begins, many Nigerians won't know what we are up against. There are two different bills, but people tend to think that it's just one bill.
Because of the implications.
Yes, the social media bill is different from the hate speech bill, and two different senators are involved. The truth is, I agree absolutely with General Babangida. He's been president of the country, military president. He knows that it is difficult to suppress the voice of Nigerians. He knows that it's impossible to muffle the voices of Nigerians. He knew how Nigerians, desirous of democracy, fought his own government until he was forced to abdicate the throne and said he was stepping aside. But he never stepped back in. He stepped aside, but he never stepped back in. He lost his throne for good. So IBB knows what he's saying. And for Senator Sabi, I'm particularly disappointed. Sabi is a young senator, but in terms of service to his people, I still remember how his people dealt with him just before the last elections. He was stoned by his constituents who accused him of non-performance, of abandoning them. Now, instead of focusing on how he can better the lot of his people, he has come up with an anti-people bill. You know, you are a senator, your people were not happy with you. Somehow, because in those areas, people just like the APC. If it was down to performance, with what we seen, the video went viral at that time. I don't know whether you saw the video.
I remember.
You know, the video went viral. The people showed their anger
I remember.
to this senator. You know, he was the spokesman of the Senate. Yes, the APC leadership wanted to reward senators who refused to join Saraki in defecting. You know, this is probably why someone like this senator is still in the Senate. Not because he did extraordinary. You know, just the sentiment that, oh, they didn't go with Saraki, let us reward them. That is why he's back in that Senate. Because I remember that his own people rejected him. If he argues about it, we'll play that video in our next edition. He cannot argue because the video is there. So this is this the best that can come from Sabi? A young man like that? Is this his best shot? Is this the best that I can come up with? Of all the problems bedeviling our country, of all the things that we need to do to make our country truly on the position of our country on the, truly on the path of growth. So is an old man in a hilltop that is advising someone who should know that this is not the sort of bill that you should coming up with. You know? I mean, it's just unfortunate that this is what we are going through. And you see, what people are saying is that the social media bill seeks to take away the freedom of expression of Nigerians. I am not for the use of social media to create disharmony in our country. But what people are saying, people like Senator Chimaroke Naman, he was the only one who opposed the bill when it came up for debate the plenary. And he was saying, look, the Cyber Crime Act that Goodluck Jonathan signed into law, some of these provisions have already been taken care of. Later, when they send the bill to Buhari now and he refuses to give his assent, they will say the president refused to sign. Or if you went to Singapore and you decided to download some of the stuff in one law there, and you think that you can now domesticate it in our country. I mean, it's unfortunate.
Mobolade, the executive arm of government, they've not come out at any point in time to dissociate themselves from this bill. Talking about the one that Alhaji Lai Mohammed is even at the vanguard of promoting, the MBC regulation, hate speech and everything. Now, a lot of people will tell you that it's quite hypocritical on the part of APC to begin to say, because people are expressing themselves, that what happened prelude to 2015, that how did they get to where they are now? That the way Nigerians, the way Goodluck Jonathan, the way the president was insulted by APC members to get to that position.
Or even APC leaders.
APC leaders was tagged as clueless at a point in time, that why is this government not tolerant?
Well, I've had a whole lot of arguments on it. I will tell you that I also have a lot of reservations about some of the things I see on the net. Quite a number of things. But that is not to lead us into this kind of damnation that they are pushing Nigeria to. You know, for example, when they were talking of these presidents and getting married and all that, and they went ahead to even print card.
Honestly.
And they posted.
The venue.
And the venue and everything was there. Somebody just decided.
The minister.
Somebody just had a fertile imagination, just decided to put that there. And I saw people even on credible platforms coming up to abuse the president as a result of what they could not verify. I mean, there is a particular platform to which I belong, and I saw it. Normally, I don't intervene in anything because people decide to bring a lot of motive, sentiments, and all that into things. But on that occasion, I said, my brother, did you verify this information before you are arguing so passionately on something that is baseless? So you see a number of people even become victims of some of these things. You know, so I agree that there should be regulation. But like you said, and quite a number of people have said, the Cyber Crime Act seems to have taken care of some of these. And a number of other laws. Yes. It's a question of just implementing them. So apparently, and more so, I'm displeased by the fact that their motive appears to have come out. No, their motive from the fact that they were suggesting the death penalty. You were talking of life imprisonment. And you have leaders who have stolen billions of naira. Dari has been jailed, for example. He was given 14 years for stealing billions. Jolly Nyame is in jail. If such monumental criminality
could attract
such
slap in the wrist.
Why would you now say that? I mean, Tafa Balogun, for example, it was 6 months. Lucky Gbinedion was 6 months.
Some of them even spent their 6 months in the hospital.
Yes, now.
And, so which means technically they never slept in jail for 1 day.
For 1 day. So why would you now say that for somebody who abused or who out of exuberance went out of his way, then you take a 22-year-old and you then sentence him to death? It doesn't show that
I don't know how
the person knows what he's doing.
So
it shows that there is something else behind it. But I don't want to accuse the National Assembly as an institution yet. It is a private member bill. It is before the National Assembly. It has not been passed. And it is good that advocacy is going on to ensure that it is not passed. But we should not go ahead and say the National Assembly has, because we will be able to have people who would say, no, you cannot go ahead like that.
Babajide, how do we now distinguish people that are passionate about Nigeria and they are criticizing constructively policies from these governments?
Yes,
so that they won't fall into that category of the people that you say.
The truth is, who defines hate speech?
Exactly, I agree with that.
Who defines hate speech? I remember one person, one politician, sitting in one studio, abusing the government of the day back then, and the NBC had to go and shut down that program and walked that person out. It was that bad at the time. But we are a nation where people suffer from selective amnesia. People choose to remember what they want to remember. People like Sabi can go ahead and, because for any bill that passes second reading, it's a sign to you that they want to pass it. It's a sign that they want to pass it.
Still go to the committee stage.
You know?
Public hearing.
Now, the point that I'm trying to make is, you have come up with a law today. You may be the victim of that law tomorrow.
Absolutely.
You may never know. When Obasanjo was drafting the law that prescribed death penalty for mutiny in the army, he didn't know that one day they would go and arrest him and put him on trial and then jail him and they sent him to Yola prisons, where he cohabited with common criminals. You never can tell. You never can tell. So today, when we see something like this, we just must be worried, because the full range of that law and the 36 clauses in it, many Nigerians need to sit down, go and study it. And they will now see the danger that old men like IBB already see. I am for regulation of the social media space.
Even traditional media.
Yes. Of course, those ones are there. We have the
NBC.
like the NBC, like the press council, no? Because we can't have a situation in which idiots will, just because they have access to cheap data, their data is even getting cheaper in our country now, thanks to Pantami, the minister, who has read the riot act to the operators. You can't, because you have access to cheap data, simply put anything you like. I see people abuse innocent people. It's true that it will actually push a man to depression and eventually suicide.
Because of fabrications.
Because of fabrications. Because usually when you deny, the bulk of the people don't believe your denial.
What do you expect?
So we have to be fair that there are idiots running riot, in cyberspace that we need to check. Remember that quote that I always talk about by Farid Zakaria, that the internet has put power in every hand, but not a sense of responsibility. Because if you do not have a sense of responsibility, you will abuse that power that the internet that you have. So that's why some countries are going ahead to do this, to do that, just to ensure that, okay, people are kept in check.
Saudi Arabia, Dubai.
But the kind of punishment In fact, for Sabi to have even thought of death penalty, something must be wrong.
Something is with the mind.
To, what are you? Is he bloodthirsty or what? Death penalty for this kind of offense? And then people who by looting our country, they are causing people to starve to death. You prefer that they should be left alone. How many of those big people end up in jail? Corruption is our biggest problem in our nation. We must address that. It is much more important to address the matter of corruption than the matter of hate speech and the matter of antisocial media bill. So our National Assembly members must know what they are doing.
All right. So moving on now, the federal government of Nigeria continued closure of the country's land borders is not an end in itself, but a means to an ultimate end of protecting the economy from sharp practices. Amidst the rising inflation figure, the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, admitted that the border closure is responsible for the hike in food prices. With the October inflation pegged at 11.61% by the National Bureau of Statistics, the minister said that discussions are ongoing with the country's neighbors to ensure that they respect the trade protocols, after which the borders will be reopened. Mobolade, inflation. I don't know. Why do you think foodstuffs, and because we are moving into that Yuletide season now, and the last time I checked, I think a kilo of turkey, 1,600. And
yes, it's not surprising that border closure will have some impact on food, prices of food. And it's not also surprising that the rising price of food will impact the general inflation in the country. Because if you look at the breakdown by the National Bureau of Statistics, you will see that essentially the food prices, is responsible for the hike in the inflation. But those who came up with the policy also knew that at least in the interim, that there will be such an impact on inflation, but that ultimately it is in the interest of the country. It is that, yes, in terms of inflation we have that, then also in terms of our revenue and boosting the income of some of our manufacturers, of some of our agriculturists, people, farmers and co. Those ones are also gaining thereby. So we may have some here and there. Before now, there was despondency creeping in among some of the farmers. But now they say, well, with the closure of the borders, cheap products that are, some of them that are not even fit for human consumption, have been shut out. So naturally, it has some effect on us. But it's good that, like the minister also said, they've been having some discussions with our neighbors. On Tuesday, they had a meeting. The ECOWAS Parliament also met, and all these issues have come up. But the issue is we must get them to agree, because the most important thing to every country is the national interest. And even if we have to suffer some pain in the interim, even if we have to make some sacrifice in the interim, we should be able to put our eyes, to be able to put our gaze on the benefits that will come after all. I believe that now this is a short-term thing. I've always maintained that border closure is short-term, but we must be able to think of what will come thereafter and endure what is going on at the moment.
Babajide, let's look at the cost and effect now.
Exactly.
When you want to put it on a scale, do you think this action is paying off?
Well, it is paying off in a number of ways. Already now, we have improved revenue. The distributable revenue from the Federation account has gone up, and it's largely down to receivable revenue from the customs, because clearly they are making far more money now than before. They've exceeded their target. It looked unlikely that they will meet that target at the beginning of the year, but now they've exceeded their target with a little over 2 months to spare, which is significant. So it means that the customs are beginning to make more money. In terms of illegal movement of people in and out of Nigeria, we've been able to check that, and it has impacted on even crime in our country, because criminals depend on illicit arms to operate. Those illicit arms are no longer coming into the country like before, because this border closure involves all the security agencies. It's not simply customs. Okay. The army is involved. Yes, you need to see them. Immigration, everyone is involved. Everyone is involved. So it has made it very, very effective. So even attacks by Boko Haram on our troops have gone down.
It's dwindled.
Yes, they still killed our soldiers a few days back, but compared to what it was before,
so January
so even about 3 months ago, it was almost every week they were attacking military bases. That has stopped. This is the sort of thing that we will have done for years. Rice millers are happier now. Poultry, people involved in production of poultry products, they are also happier. The rice that we consume, as I always say, this rice, the foreign rice, will have been in their warehouses for up to 11 years in some cases. Totally bereft of nutrients.
Thailand and all that.
You know, in their own country, they sell the rice to the rice for feed mills. They use it to feed their poultry. But in our country, they send it here for us to eat. When you cook the Nigerian rice, the aroma, you feel the aroma. But cook this foreign rice, you see that the aroma is non-existent. Our people are silently consuming poison without even realizing it. So we, on this program, we challenge the government to do something about our borders. When the government, especially the former Minister of Agriculture, was thumping his chest that we were producing enough to feed our people, we said, no, this is not true. Trailer load, hundreds of trailers loaded with rice come into our country unfettered. Today, we've been able to address that. And the revenue is rising. Those rice millers that were already thinking that the end had come, because a lot of them took money from banks, they are happier now. They have, in fact, the orders that they have received, they can't even cope with. This is how we can reflate our Greek sector. When people can see clearly that, look, if I go into this line of business, I will make more money. The old lambs of this world, they will multiply. Dangote is into even rice production. More and more people will come in when they know that, look, there's a market for it. But if there's no market, people will run away. I once met Dangote and I asked him, I said, you used to have the 4th biggest textile mill in our country. Why did you close down Dangote textile mill? He looked at me. He said, oh, I didn't know you hated me this much. It was a Protea Hotel in Ikeja that I met him. He now said, the friends of the people in government, they are the big time smugglers of textile materials. So how do I cope? He had to leave the business. Today, if rice millers are guaranteed of markets, that they won't, imported rice will not take away their potential market. Of course, more people will come in, more people will be employed, more money will be made, because there is so more potential in agriculture. So this closure of the border has already opened our eyes. We produce vegetable oil in our country. Why do we want to bring in vegetable oil? So all those items on the prohibited list, our neighbors have been sabotaging our economy, getting those items into our country. Remember what Alhaji Lai Mohammed said? He said, now we are talking with these people. They just need to do what we want. Otherwise, we'll keep the borders we'll keep them closed. He said when a transit container beds at a seaport, the receiving country is supposed to escort it untampered with to the border of destination. But that's not what we experience. These people will come even rebag foreign rice to make it look like local rice because, of course, the local rice is more expensive. So this is what they do. They are the ones who make all the money. Our country does not make money because we turned us to a dumping ground of all kinds of small good products. So, but things are changing. Revenue is improving. So I cannot now, as a person who has conscience, who challenge the government to do what was right, who challenge the government to do something about unrestrained smuggling into our country. I can not now say, no, government, what you have done is wrong. All I can say is that, okay, this cannot be a permanent measure. We need to effectively design ways of policing our borders after we open them. We must find a way. Corrupt individuals in our customs, in immigration, and all of them, we have to flush them away and keep the borders secure.
Mobolade, it's as if there's a kind of paradigm shift in Nigeria. You know, growing up in this part of the world, and when you ask people, you want to be, they'll say lawyer, doctors, what they want to do. But right now, graduates will tell you now that they are going back to the farm. Okay, I have a caller now.
Yeah, hello.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, this is Mr. Ayeni. I'm calling from Surulere.
All right, go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, good afternoon to you all there.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I'm very happy concerning the border closure because it's an avenue to get people employed. But I should tell you the basic truth. Some of the malams, aboki that are selling water in my area, some of them have left. They have gone back to the north to go and farm. Yes, they have all gone. Even the one in my area in office at Apapa, most of them are back to their town, to the north, to farm. They say they have went back for rice farming, which is a very welcome development. And even the issue of consuming what we produce is really yielding results.
Yes.
And I think without closing of border, this cannot be possible.
Thank you for your contribution, Ayeni. You're right.
Yes, you were talking of people moving into agriculture.
Yes,
young
diversifying the economy. Yeah. It's not attractive. People buy,
farming before, that they are beginning to find it attractive.
Going to full-time mechanized farming now.
Fine. I mean, you see a number of people. We were discussing, and Jide was saying it, the son of the former Minister of Health.
Yes.
Who decided that that's what he wanted to do for it.
He has a PhD scholarship to go and train in Harvard.
So some years back, it was impossible. So it is good that people begin to see it, dignity of labor. And what is the bottom line of it all? That you work and that you reap.
Happy.
You are happy with what you are doing.
Go to Abeokuta, go to Ijebu now. People
so
buy
it is
landed
good that people are doing it. We have not been able to reach where we should.
Bananas and all that. My boss, Babafemi Ojudu, has a big banana farm in Ekiti. And when he harvested it, he showed the picture for us to see. Yes, that's someone working in the presidency. So who says I cannot also have my own rice farm? I can go to Taraba, for example, where there is so much potential for growing of rice. I can go there and say, okay, in Bali, give me a piece of land in Bali. I want to grow rice here. Or go to Borno and say, I want to grow sesame. Because it thrives in that area. The north has extremely fertile land. They may not have the same volume of rainfall as we have, but God has so blessed the north with fertile land. You can't believe it. You can't believe it.
So, I mean, we have not reached there. We have to continue. We've started. We've taken the first steps forward. We must try to encourage our people, especially the young ones. And like you said, I have a friend who is a journalist, for example. He's been an old journalist. He just recently told me, he said, look, I'm into bringing banana and plantain here. Yeah. And that's what he's doing. And he's doing well. He's doing
and
very
it's not expensive to cultivate. Banana is not expensive to cultivate.
Yes. It
With
brings
low
some
capital and
Osun.
everything.
Yes.
You know, the way it replicates itself, it's not expensive.
All right, I'll take this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangout. We'll be right back after this breather. Thank you for joining us. If you are just tuning in, this is Journalist Hangout, and we're reaching you from Television Continental here, and we are looking at the diversification of the economy and this closure of border. So, Jide, you said it earlier. It shouldn't be something that will be indefinite, will be closed indefinitely for the interest of what the argument the former president Olusegun Obasanjo was quoted as saying that if the Republic of Benin, if what they are producing, they bring it to Nigeria, that there's no problem. But the Republic of Benin has made it that country
a dumping ground.
That is the bone of contention here.
Yes, because people, yes, we have issues with our ports. Our ports are not efficiently run, at least with speed. So people over the years would rather divert stuff to Benin because their goods get cleared in record time and all that. All the bottlenecks that we have here, security agencies in our ports, so many. Even man o' wars have probably joined them, you know. So before you get through all of that, the time where you bring the goods safe into the country,
Businessman,
to clear it, you spend more time trying to clear it than bringing it into the country. That's what clearing agents are saying, and it's so bad. But now, the Benin people have abused that thoroughly. They now see Nigeria as a dumping ground, bringing rice into Benin. When we decided that we were no longer releasing foreign exchange for the importation of rice, because President Buhari said anything that we can grow, that we should grow what we eat. You know? Which, like the Americans will say, eat what you kill. That's what the policy of the president. So he stopped bringing foreign exchange for the importation of rice. What did these people do? They then decided to be diverting to the UK because we were the #1 importer of rice in the world. Just as we are the #1 importer of the dollar, the American dollar. Yes. So they began to divert.
We
to
consume
that side.
American dollars more.
Seriously. So the people own the currency, they don't use it liberally the way we use it. You've gone to the US. Is that how you see it on their streets? So we are the ones who do it. We use it to bribe judges, we use it to bribe all kinds of people, bribe journalists, bribe all kinds of people.
If you spend $1,000, something, so there will be an alarm somewhere.
I've never seen that note. $1,000.
That's why we talk of one note. You go buy something and take out
$100
cash.
is very
That's a credit-based society.
Yes.
But we banished the idea of Ghana must go, and then went for the dollar because someone can put $10,000 in a small
You
envelope.
feel it.
Political parties will be doing convention.
Yes,
and
they'll
all
be
the
sharing
bureau de
dollars
change.
there.
Yes, all the bureau de change.
They will relocate to the place.
To the place because people are getting their money in dollars.
Party primaries, they'll be sharing dollars.
Yes, dollars.
Nobody uses the dollar the way Nigerians use it.
They pay some rent on the island. They pay rent.
Which is not supposed to be the case.
Yes,
you cannot go to South
service
Africa
apartment on the island. They pay them in dollars.
You see, that shows we should be jailing people who spend the dollar here. In South Africa, you dare not spend the dollar. You must, when you come into their country, you must convert to rand and use their currency.
You still have money left to convert back.
Yes.
And all that. That's
the only place where you can, maybe at the duty-free shop in the airport, that's why you can use your dollar. There's a musical group that in South Africa that I got introduced to, Joy Celebration, in 2006 when I went to Durban. Why? Because I wanted to use my last rand. I had dollars, but I know they will not take it from me. So I had to use it to buy the CD of Joy Celebration, not knowing that it was probably the best what's it called? Album. Christian musical group in South Africa after the Soweto choir. I didn't know. Today, I listen to them a lot because I had to use the rand. They will not take the dollar from me. Nobody. You won't find people exchanging currencies on the street. You must get into a bureau de change. They will take your passport before you can make any form of transaction. That's the way it should be. We must honor our currency.
Yeah. We
Must
celebrate
honor our
the dollar
currency.
here. We celebrate
Honor
the dollar.
anything that
We
is
adore
our
it.
own. We must honor anything that is our own.
Our politicians tax, they store dollars.
Yes.
Do you know now that people who never believed in the Nigerian rice, they are now forced to consume it because it's difficult for them to find their favorite foreign rice.
In the markets.
They are now compelled to eat the Nigerian rice, and there are some Nigerian rice that even if they tell you that it is Nigerian rice, you find it difficult to believe. Because you won't find any stone.
Yeah.
They too are improving the
Almost
quality.
perfected that
Yes.
No, if you
technology.
don't start, you can't improve.
They are improving the quality. They have the stoners. They make sure that there's no stone.
Big technology. to find it.
Last December, Abakaliki rice, perfectly processed, was sent to Aso Rock, and Aso Rock distributed as gifts to people. Abakaliki rice.
In the Ebonyi States.
And if you get it, if you taste it, you will not believe that it's even Nigerian rice, because it's so clean, so pristine. Also, this is the thing we should encourage. No one is saying leave the borders closed permanently. No. In fact, I don't think that makes sense. But for the time being, until our neighbors, and already Niger Republic is feeling the pinch, and they have said no, we have banned exportation of rice to Nigeria. So that's the way it should. Let's extract commitment from them. Once we can see that, okay, they too are behaving themselves, in inverted commas, then we can go back to open those borders and then come up with a template to protect the borders so that we can achieve our aims.
Mobolade, on the final note, how do we now address this inflation issue? We are moving towards Yuletide now. It's some days to Christmas.
We'll get towards it.
You know, and people will start, rice will now be the most essential commodity. And even people want to take turkey, chicken, you know, the way it is.
My view is that in the interim, it's unavoidable. That pain will come. Unless you quickly open the border, which will defeat the objective. The objective is that you have some marks. You are looking at how far we have gone and what we have been able to achieve. Nigerians should.
The impact will be harsher
Yeah,
by
it
this
will
Christmas.
be. There's no
if
doubt
they
about
don't
it.
open the border.
Yeah, but why are we even hitting those imported frozen foods?
They have always told us that those things, that the nutritional quality is poor.
It's even gone.
Because they've been there for so long, the preservatives.
I don't know, maybe we can, we have
affected.
enough to eat here
We may,
in terms of poultry.
it will
we
be
don't-
expensive.
We don't have enough yet. We don't have enough yet.
That's
But the thing is, people can sacrifice. They don't
That's what
have
I
to
think.
eat
You
those
should just
things.
make
They don't have to
sacrifice.
eat those things.
They should make
We have
sacrifice.
beef. We have
in
other things that we can eat.
1948, when India got its independence, they decided on this, promote everything Indian. And it has effect.
Look at Tata today. Look at
Yes,
their
of course, it had some immediate impact on them, some negative impact, if you like, some
years.
pain. But they had gain after the pain. So we should also know that, yes, let's have the pain for now, but as we go into 2020, let's put our eyes on the mark, on the goal that we are going towards.
all right. Moving on now. Finally, Lagos State is regarded as Nigeria's center of excellence. So it is expected to lead other parts of Nigeria in development indices. Workers in Lagos State are about to be paid the highest in the country. The state government said it will start the payment of a new minimum wage of 35,000 naira. I say that again, 35,000 naira to civil servants from this November. The state head of service, Akim Muri Okunla, who noted that the approved new minimum wage and consequential adjustments are more than the federal government recommendation, said it is a demonstration of the governor's commitment to welfare of public servants, a sort of Christmas gift to Lagos civil servants, Lagos workers. Wow, Babajide, 35,000 naira, Lagos State, blazing the trail as always, and they are going to make sure that they effect their own consequential adjustment
From November 1.
more than the federal government, the one the federal government has recommended.
Yes.
Yeah, Lagos has the capacity to do that and more. And you see someone like Sanwo-Olu, he's been in establishment.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
He's been in the system for many years. He knows what the problems are. He knows how to galvanize the workers to see the government as their own. Because it's important. It's a new government. You must get the buy-in of everyone.
Stakeholders, especially critical ones like
get
the civil servants.
To believe in you. It's important that you get them to believe in you. Things will be rough at the beginning, as we have seen with this administration, you know. But it's going to take a while before he gets things right. Because when you are contesting, when you are campaigning, you are on the outside looking in. But when you get inside, you then appreciate the enormity of the mandate that you've been given, the enormity of the challenges that you are going to face. So my namesake is already facing that now. Nobody can go to Sanwo-Olu now and tell him, look, Lagos is easy to govern. He's going to tell you, no, I never knew it was this difficult. He's going to tell you that. You know,
he has lost weight.
And that's a man who has never been beefy like people like us. You know? So I can spare him some of my flesh. The truth is, Lagos deserves the best. If we see Lagos as the center of excellence, the state of aquatic splendor, it is the best that should come out of Lagos. And when I was hearing that some states had made up their minds to pay without hesitation, I was hoping that Lagos would be one of those states. So, but you know, the way the Lagos people do their own thing, they do it in grand style. So they just said, look, we are not even talking about 30, we are going 35. You live in this state, we all know how difficult it is.
Yes.
Rent, transportation.
Putting in mind the peculiarity of Lagos.
Food. Look at Ibadan. Food is way cheaper in Ibadan. Despite the fact that Ibadan is not really
just
far.
1 hour.
Food is way cheaper in Ibadan than here. So anybody familiar with the peculiarities of Lagos will also know that the workers here deserve a lot more. He has to also constantly pay their leave bonuses and all that, because that had been an issue for years. There was a particular administration that evidently was reluctant to pay people. So now he has to show that he's a new broom. He has to do that. Once you have a functional civil service, a responsive civil service on your side, the sky is the limit. They will key into your agenda, and they will help you to drive the state forward. He has taken the right step, and I'm sure that the workers hold him. I'm sure that the workers too
want to reciprocate
that by giving their best.
This 35,000 naira and as minimum wage in Lagos.
Yeah, it's an indication that better could come, that we could move in the right direction as we move forward. It is true that a number of people have been very, very disappointed for the slow starts. I mean, the state of the roads and so on. A number of people have been saying that the rainy season, people were not willing to consider the fact that it came in at the height of the rainy season and all that. So it is good that at least people begin to say, yes, I mean, it appears that this man, and the roads too, since the dry season is just starting,
what's the name of that agency? They're all over the place now.
Yes, everywhere, the GRA and all that. You see a lot going on. We hope that the pace will continue. We hope it will be sustained. We hope that we will see that same energy, say, in education. We want to see the education of Lagos. It's been picking up, but it could be better. And we should move in the digital age. We should see it reflect in our schools. The health system since the days of Leke Piton to Idris, it's been improving. But we want to see it move to the next level, as they have said. So we want to see that from 2020 when he will be having his first budget. The budget is before the House of Assembly now.
Yes.
So we hope that by 2020 we will really see that we have a man who is not strange to the system. And like Jide said, he was Commissioner for Training and Establishment, and that is beginning to show. You understand? Immediately he came in within 1 week, even though we had problem with transportation later.
But
he came in to
staff
talk
boss.
about
But staff boss.
staff boss, and apart from that, the last man,
man.
double allowance for them. He said, go and do your work.
Work till 11 p.m.
Once you work, then we will be able to reward you. And that is what we need. Let everybody, the private sector in Lagos is ready to support the government. We saw that in the Security Trust Fund. It's ready to, but let them also see that the government is working, providing the infrastructure and other things that they need to be able to boost their own productivity and production. So that is what we need. We must work together, and then Lagos will really be a center of excellence.
When you look at transport, for example, Lagosians spend so much money on transport.
Yes. And time.
Look at the road that Fashola is constructing. People pay because a lot of people living in Arepo, Mowe, Bafo, they work here in Lagos.
Yes.
Oh,
People
80%
pay
of them.
as high as 600 naira to bring them from their homes in Arepo to Lagos. And sometimes they spend up to 5-6 hours in the traffic.
Some of
They
them
even
get
rob
home.
them.
such
They
a-
rob them. They get robbed.
yes,
The long
yes,
bridge
that
now.
long bridge, yes.
Long
They
bridge
get
now is
home
not
at
about
2
house.
a.m.
So-
and they will come again in the morning.
Yes, now Lagosians are going through a lot. Lagos workers are going through a lot. And a good government must design a good program for that adequately takes care of the welfare of workers.
Yes.
Because there's just nothing that you can do better than that. You have to take care of the welfare of workers because they are the engine that drive development in any state. So if you do not have labor on your side, it's going to be difficult. That was why Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, when he had his problems with the workers, in 2003, he had 2002 going to 2003. He had to then bring in Alhaji Tinubu.
As the head of service.
Yes. And
Late.
clearly, the late Tinubu, he knew what to do. He had a good rapport with the workers. That was how he was able to calm the storm. So this is a good thing that the governor has done, and clearly the workers will be able to see that this is a people-friendly governor. This is a worker-friendly governor because he showed that from the beginning. So all that they can wish for now is for him to sustain that. And industrial harmony will be the result of that in Lagos. There is still so much to do in terms of infrastructure. Abandoned projects, he has to hit the ground running, go complete those projects.
Very important.
In Agege,
Pen Cinema.
Bridge. People are suffering.
A
People are
bridge.
suffering because that bridge has been abandoned.
Yes.
He has to go there and
Complete
complete it. It's a good idea to have that overhead bridge in that place. I've been robbed in traffic in that area before. So I know the value of smooth
Free
flow
flow
of traffic. So he has to go and do that. And there are other pockets of
Projects. By
abandoned
his
projects here
predecessors,
and there.
Yes.
Yes, so he has to, in my view, he should first finish those
Those
abandoned
before
projects
you start your
before
own
focusing
signature.
on his own. Yes, that's the best way to do.
Mobolade, another problem we have in this city is accommodation. And if you see, Fashola tried, the former governor tried to try and regulate it by saying that landlords should not collect more than a year for rent and everything. But For workers now, what they spend on the accommodation, and if your accommodation takes more than 5-10% of your annual income, that means there's fire on the mountain. How do we address this?
As for housing, my position is always that government can never produce enough. Really, government should be involved. Government should intervene, but it can never really produce enough. I think what they should do is to look at the materials and to encourage the private sector to produce quite a number of housing. You should have policy. Government should design the policy that will make materials cheap enough. We have raw materials development agencies that are working at some of these things. You have building research institutes and all that. What are they doing with the product so that people can begin to patronize the things that they come up with for the interest of the people? Because we've had government, the last time I think we really had sufficient intervention by government was when we had Alhaji Jakande. And you had Jakande houses almost everywhere,
yes.
So to say. So, and you know that land is a prime product in Lagos because it's in short supply.
It's our oil.
It is. So government should look at how it can, what it can do, in this area in terms of policy, the land that we have, the kind of buildings that you could put up there, and private developers then well regulated, because some of them are Shylocks, some of them are just capitalists who want to make money. They don't care if it collapses after 1 month. So well regulated, we should encourage them. Let the government, the Ministry of Housing, do more of spurring the private sector to do some of these things and not scraping the heads of the people. But if it's in terms of just producing houses, I'm not too sure. And another thing I think we could do, the government went to Kebbi and they were able to do this rice thing, and we could do a number of these things. I think we have a number of this Monway and Co.
No, they have their own rice plant.
No, I know they have a mill now.
Ikorodu
No, that's
now.
mill.
Rice mill.
That's
Yes.
rice mill. But the production is out there because you don't have the land to be able to do that much. So if they even wanted to acquire land also in Osun.
They've actually acquired that.
I'm talking about the one in, is it Mota or where?
That's the mill. So they have their mill, they will go and bring the paddies and then they produce and so they are doing that. But we can also have, if we are able to have the road and we put good public transportation system in place and the concept of Greater Lagos is reactivated, then you can have good houses.
You can see that air-conditioned buses. A lot of people love it. It's very cheap, subsidized. Sit down, charge your phone.
Internet,
Wi-Fi.
So if you could have such good housing schemes as you have in other countries, and they go there, they bring people, they take them back, it will reduce everything for us. So government should come up with good thinking.
I think Ambode's goal was to even
remove the downfalls.
Those
yellow buses.
Yes, that's what
flood them with those
flood the city with those air-conditioned buses.
That's why he had big bus terminus.
Yes, but I think it's a good idea. People should, foreigners when they come to Lagos, they should be able to enter buses that dignify us as a people.
Absolutely.
A lot of people prefer those buses.
So, but if we still don't have enough, we still don't have enough.
They don't have enough.
The other day I was going to work and I saw dozens of people
waiting for the bus.
Waiting, waiting. So we need to get more of those buses.
Yes, I was told that they are yet to claim.
As I'm saying, any good thing that his predecessor started, he has to sustain it. He should not think that, this is my own government. How will people remember me? You'll be remembered if we finish up those projects.
Absolutely.
Because that's what people want. It wasn't IBB that started the bridge here. This Third Mainland Bridge. It wasn't him.
Really?
The idea wasn't his.
Oh.
That's a project that had been there for so long. But IBB's name
Babangida Bridge
embossed on it. Because everybody knows that during his time that it was completed.
I want to thank you, Mobolade, Omonijo. Thank you so much.
My pleasure to be here.
And BKO, as usual, thank you.
Thank you.
And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on the platforms showing on the screen. We're also on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Uzubaku. Bye for now. See you next week.